Have you ever watched a documentary on YouTube or Netflix about some sort of criminal investigation and it really piqued your fancy? They bring all these experts and witnesses in, and even police officers involved in the investigation, just to paint a picture of how complicated the entire thing was. And the one thing that completely jacks it all up are internet sleuths. The true crimers, the internet sleuths who have zero experience in law enforcement or finding their own penis over their fat, flappy stomachs, or are too busy doing mascara as they tell you about a criminal experience that happened in Utah in 1972 to ever think about some of the stupid shit that they say. So today, I'm gonna watch one of those documentaries along with you so I can give direct answers to the internet people wondering why police are not giving out information about the investigation that they want to know about, or why did they make a correction on the paperwork? Is it because they're incompetent or because they're dirty? Those are the only two reasons. And the first documentary that came to mind that I wanted to assist with nosy YouTubers and internet sleuths is the Cecil, the Disappearance of Elisa Lam. Originally, the documentary came out in 2021, and during COVID, it was all the rage, which is an appropriate word because all it did was enrage me with some of the asinine questions and ludicrous people that wandered into this documentary from the internet. As a guy that says things on the internet, who the fuck cares what these weirdos say on the internet? Sure, they talk about interesting crimes on the internet that they've learned about and read in the newspaper, but having them talk about this investigation that was ongoing because they are on the internet and people watch them is the same thing as like having Oscar the Grouch come on and give his 2 cents about the missing person homicide criminal investigation going on.
Well, it's about time you tuned in. I'm Oscar the Grouch and this is GNN, the Grouch News Network.
Oh, what's your experience in law enforcement and investigations? You've watched them on TV? Sweet. Well, we've got a guy over here that's watched every episode of Cops. So obviously we need to listen to him. Better bring him in for his expert opinion. So join me as we go through the vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, the mystery of Elisa Lam, and the internet sleuths that show you how people can make a police officer's job harder. But before we go any further, first, a word from this video's sponsor.
Spam, spam, spam. And I'm not talking about the delicious meat condensed into a can. No, I'm talking about spam emails, spam phone calls, bothering you your entire life, and it never getting better. Well, I've got an answer for you, and that's today's sponsor, Aura. Stop leaving your personal information out there leaking on the internet for free for everybody to get. Advertising businesses, scammers, and foreign governments scouring the internet trying to pick up every tidbit of your information so they can make some change off of it. Let Aura keep you safe online so that identity thieves can't keep getting into your business. They identify data brokers that are selling all of your information online, and they submit opt-out requests on our behalf. And when you sign up now, you'll get 14 days for free so you can see all of your information get sucked out of those dirty stinking websites. Aura also constantly monitors the dark web, looking out for your personal information out there and alerts you when it's found and taken out. You can also get $5 million of identity theft insurance. So check out the link below at aura.com/angrycops and get 14 days for free. That's 14 days for Aura to show you how much of your personal data has been exposed.
With Elisa Lam, you're talking about a 21-year-old college student that just completely disappears.
The hotel is where we have to start.
I have spent hours and hours investigating this.
In the elevator, she's acting very strange.
What's with the hand movements?
There's more to the story than meets the eye.
I think that somebody from the LAPD is corrupt.
Of course. Listen, it fucking happens every time. There's never just enough information for somebody. So there's the police are corrupt guy in everything. In everything. Oh, there's a traffic stop and they gave somebody a parking ticket. Police corruption! Maybe dye your beard and your hair next time you go on a YouTube's documentary thing, guy. Fucking Santa beard and John Leguizamo hair don't make no sense.
It is possible that Ms. Lam is either hurt or in danger. She has no history of any kind of behavior that would end up like this.
So that's like inflammatory speech that I can't stand from the public like news, right? She's done something before, but nothing quite like this. Yes, when people disappear, that's usually not like something they would do, especially if they haven't disappeared before.
My name's Tim Marcia. I was a detective with the Los Angeles Police Department. One morning, we were told that we had picked up a missing persons case.
Okay, missing persons. Missing persons are tricky, right? Oftentimes, like 99 out of 100 times, a missing persons is a 17, 16, 15-year-old kid that doesn't have a good home life or is just a piece of shit kid, and he runs off for the night or two, something fairly common, and mom or dad or the guardian just kind of wants the missing persons report out there in case something bad happens. And of course, obviously, so then you can take this troubled kid and bring them in back home, right? It is important to treat every missing person seriously because of that 1 out of the 100 where it turns up that the kid is dead, or the missing person, in this case, spoilers in case you didn't know that, Elisa Lam is dead. And there are complications when it comes to a missing person, right? Somebody moving into a new city or visiting from a city, you're really starting out with a blank slate in a bad way. They've got no friends. Maybe they've met 1 or 2 people. You've really got to try and follow where they are and where they go. And you've got nobody to reference that off of except for strangers. So you don't have a, what would you call this? You don't have a playbook for the average day-to-day activity. Example, Elisa Lam, in from out of town, doing her own thing, trying to experience LA. There's millions of people like that. Very different from her going missing in her hometown with all of her friends and family around her, right? All those people right there in her hometown, ready and accessible, that we can talk to, even the deli that she goes to, or her Tim Hortons where she gets her coffee every morning. She has all these normal day-to-day interactions that we can go to, verify, and talk to people. Here, as a visitor somewhere, wow, where do you start? I'll tell you where you start. Start with her personal belongings. Always contact the family to see, did she have any plans to go anywhere? You look for electronic data, cell phones, etc. that might have maps, locations, emails, and of course the applications that you have whenever you're going on vacation. What are your recent apps? Are they telling her to go anywhere? Did she purchase any tickets at Ticketmaster for some sort of event? Are there places to look? Yes. Is it far more difficult? Yes, because you've really got to do a lot of footwork when it comes to a missing persons case like this, where it's a visitor from out of town. Already, cops are starting off kind of with one arm behind their back.
As far as I know, she was going to be staying with us for, I believe, 4 days. 506 was a female bunk room. Community toilets and showers were down the hall.
Elisa was supposed to check out on February 1st.
But they learned that the hotel staff removed all her personal belongings.
Now, immediately it's inferenced that, oh, she went missing, and then the hotel staff randomly picked up her shit and then moved it. Oh, listen, as long as there's a chain of custody, that means absolutely nothing. If they go in a room and there's all that shit and they put it in a bag and they put it in another room and they go, hey, I'm Detective so-and-so, where's her shit? And the person at the Cecil goes, we collected it and we put it all right here. You go, everything? Everything. All personal items? All personal items. Sweet. Totally normal. You know why? Because it's a business and because people leave shit in hotels all the time.
So she went to a bookstore, she came back to the hotel and then vanished. Only there's no trace of her.
Yes. That is what vanished means. To disappear. Do we need a thesaurus here? The woman has vanished. It's almost as if she's disappeared.
Containment was almost like an experiment of, let's see if we can contain anything bad that's going on in the rest of the city and direct it to Skid Row.
Over at the hotel, the investigators became aware that there was security footage.
The hotel has cameras in the lobby, in the elevators, the front of the hotel, you know, most of the common areas.
Awesome. Normally something that you would do is look for camera footage. Gosh, dang it, I love camera footage. Camera footage. I love camera footage.
And all of a sudden, we see her on camera, and we both just jumped.
Camera footage is amazing. Obviously, cameras don't lie, right? They're there. They're non-biased. It shows one viewpoint. Could you need more? Yes, those are always very welcome, but it shows, boom, this is what happened. Ta-da! The bad thing about camera footage is that somebody's got to go through it. So if you're looking at the screen that I'm looking at, with the detective looking at 18 different camera angles of what the hell's going on, you've got to watch however many cameras there are throughout the entire hotel and for the time period that you're looking for this missing persons. So yes, I've been there before, not probably nowhere near to the hours that they spent looking through the cameras here at the Cecil, but I have spent hours looking at camera footage to try and find the exact pinpoint moment of when a crime actually occurs. And then from there, I back off and I expand that viewpoint. What happened before? What happened after? Who's around? What are they wearing? Where are they going? Do they look like they're in distress?
There was no information that was developed out of the canvas. Now we're back to square one.
They really don't have any other answers.
We need the public's help to put more eyes out on the street. The last footage that we had of Elisa before her disappearance was the footage we found of her inside the elevator. So it was decided that we would release the video.
All right, so what I touched on earlier hits home, right? They're canvassing, they're knocking on doors, they're talking to people and staff there. Hey, do you know this woman? Have you seen her around? And because she's not from the area and she's only been there a couple of days, there's no consistent interaction with any of these people. She's a ghost, a NPC, just floating around in the background because she's not a regular. And because of that, you have very little input to assist you in the investigation when it comes from eyewitnesses of, I saw this person here and I saw this person there, which you can once again juxtapose that to the town that she lives in, where everybody knows her and has met her and has greeted her and says, well, every Thursday she's usually at the coffee shop and every Friday night she's dancing at the soda bar. Whatever. You don't have that when it's a visitor, and it really sets them back as investigators.
As a YouTuber, I was looking into content and I saw the elevator video.
Everybody welcome John Jordan, a reoccurring character in this documentary. He's a YouTube sleuth, which isn't a thing. And although, and I highly suggest you watch it, there are moments like Don't Mess with Cats where the internet can come together and assist law enforcement in finding somebody. This is not one of those cases. John is gonna come up a lot, saying a lot of dumb things that made me want to make this video. Prepare yourselves.
The doors open and a woman walks in.
She's swinging one arm up, bends over casually to look at the panel, and she's firing down the whole center row of buttons, and then moves to the corner of the elevator. She looks like she's relaxed. She pokes her head out and whips her head both ways.
So this footage of Elisa Lam in the elevator is the last, if I'm not mistaken, image of her alive. It's the last proof of life that detectives have. Proof of life, obviously, proof that somebody's alive. And because it's a significant video, not just for the length of time that she's in there looking around, but also because it's the last time that she's seen by anybody, the video becomes a reoccurring focal point, especially for YouTubers.
I think most people who are seeing this video know what they're looking at. They're looking at the last known footage of a woman who's disappeared. And with that context in mind, the police unwittingly, turned it into a mystery.
How? How do the police unwittingly turn it into a mystery? No, people on the internet are dying to solve things and love it when they can contradict law enforcement, which I'm fine with. Hey, you don't trust the cops? I get you, all right? You had a bad experience? Sure. But not every single police interaction or investigation is some sort of massive cover-up or shortfall from the police department or whomever is investigating it. Foreshadowing, a lot of people say that it is.
Surveillance footage of 21-year-old Elisa Lam.
I saw the elevator footage as soon as it was released on the news. There was every reason to be suspicious.
John Sobhani, this is the fucking weird guy. This guy is the corpse defiler, potentially. Not really just saying, as we go through these episodes and hear more from John creeps me the fuck out.
And I was drawn in by the story.
The first episode in the 4-episode series of the Cecil is called Lost in Los Angeles, and it kind of sets the stage for the investigation. Who's Elisa Lam? Who's investigating it? What's the information that they get originally in that short time of 911 call? Here's what we've got, and the first steps in an investigation into a missing persons case. Along with all that information, you begin to meet the main players. Obviously, the detectives. In the next episode, you'll meet the coroner, and most importantly, you start to meet the internet sleuths. The internet crime solvers that have never solved a crime, but have seen them on the internet from the comfort of their own home. And yes, I know, somewhat hypocritical for me to say that, being in my own home recording a video about this, but I've also got a lot of time on the job and still do work. So I have experience. I'm not just some floating head on your television. And that's why we're here today. To learn. How do I say this without being insensitive? Dead bodies are a part of the job, and obviously people die. So it's not uncommon for police officers to come across dead bodies. And for the most part, a criminal investigation isn't necessary. People die from overdoses, which nowadays are starting to be investigated by some narcotics units and homicide units because of the fentanyl epidemic. Some proactive district attorneys are going after drug dealers for selling fentanyl-laced drugs, causing the deaths of people. Obviously, if you're intended to do a bump in the middle of the night and then you end up collapsing because there's fentanyl in your coke, that would be the drug dealer's fault. Yes, some fault obviously goes on the person that's buying the drugs, but if being sold something and lied to about what that is, there you go. But either way, most of the times whenever a dead body, I'll try to make it as similar to the Cecil as I can. I've been to boarding houses where it's, 12 rooms on a floor and they share 2 bathrooms, and they rent out those single rooms that happen to have, a bed and a dresser and a closet in it. Everywhere else is, shared space. When somebody passes away and they're found and 911 is called and then the police show up, the normal procedure is to notify the next of kin, try to figure out who the doctor is, because the doctor will come in and say, hey, we'll take over the body. And then after that, you pretty much just get to leave. Family will come in, the doctor will come in, the doctor will handle everything, and you're out of there because the doctor's going to tell the mortuary services, hey, pick up his body, transport it here, and keep it going. It gets a little more complicated when that isn't taken care of, and it might be an unexpected death, and then you would call the coroner's office, and still, next of kin, coroner's office. Coroner comes in, picks up the body, moves it. Back in the day before people started really investigating overdoses, if it was an overdose or a suspected overdose, they would still get a toxicology report. It was only if there was a belief of some sort of foul play or a suicide that homicide would then be called in to investigate it. Shut up! Shut the fuck up! I can't stand it. I can't stand it when the fake empathy. She had a mental disorder and she was really looking to try and help herself. Shut up. You have no idea who this woman is. I can't stand that. These people try to empathize to make themselves feel better about a mystery woman. You don't know her. You have no emotional connection to her. Stop with your mental disorder and latching onto this person as if they're your long lost friend that could have been. Nonetheless, that's an important point. Missing people. Guess what happens a lot of time with missing people? They have mental disorders. I've personally dealt with a mom that made a police report stating, hey, my son, who's in his mid-20s, ran away from home and he's homeless and he's off his meds and he's schizophrenic. I'm like, okay, has this happened before? She's like, yes, last time he ended up, I live in Buffalo. This guy ended up in like New Jersey and was like hanging around a museum, bumbling to himself. And then he got brought back home. And I go, okay, cool. Do you want me to like put out a social media blast, give me his photo and put it out there? And she's like, oh God, no, I don't want to embarrass him. Sometimes running away, becoming homeless, becoming a missing person gets to be commonplace with some mental illnesses. Schizophrenia is one of those ones. People that are manic, when they're bipolar and they're manic around those highs, they decide that they're going to sell all their belongings and literally go to Vegas and win millions of dollars. That's what their mind tells them to do. And then they go to, Vegas, blow, their life savings. And then they're like, oh shit. Well, now, whoop, that mania goes down into a deep depression. So a lot of people in the law enforcement community would look at this diagnosis of bipolar and any other sort of potential disorder and say, that's what we call a clue. And that's not to say that all people that have mental disorders run away. However, there is a median, right? There's a mean, an average, if you will, where you'll get the information that checks out a lot of blocks that have happened before with people having the same sort of diagnosis or condition. Fantastic. That's beautiful. Well said. All right. These, once again, are red flags. We've got staff personnel saying that she's acting out of order, that she's acting strange. We have the two people that she was rooming with that are saying that she's acting strange. Obviously, you want to go talk to those people, especially the roommates. Where did she say she was going? Did she say she was going anywhere? Where did she say she had come from? Did she go anywhere to eat and bring any wrappers from like McDonald's or a Burger King? That way you can look and see if there's like a Burger King like a half a block away that maybe you can get video from. So talking to individuals, witnesses, even in these scenarios, like I said earlier, it's difficult to find when they're just a visitor from somewhere, are huge because they can start pointing you in a better direction to get more information. Now, right away, if a woman's social media says she's bipolar and people are saying she's acting off, I'm immediately wondering if she's on medication and if she's taking too much of them or not taking enough of them. And then I'm wondering, because this happens so often, is if she's had some sort of psychotic break. Drugs, maybe, yeah, that's a possibility. But at this moment, even with the people saying she was acting really strange, even if I knew nothing else, my two things would go mental illness or drug use, whether it being legal or illegal. Once again, when I say drug use being legal, I mean medications, whether she's on them and goes off of them, whether she's off of them or on them and takes too many of them. We're moving somewhere. We're shaking. We haven't ran into weird ideas from internet sleuths, but we still have time. Also, side note, when he says like she's a vulnerable person and could be taken advantage of, that's when the investigations will often speed up a little bit too, and you can have more assets at your fingertips. Like especially when it comes like a missing persons foundation or Friends of the Night, which is like a homeless group that assists people. And also, like I said, social media before, like I've used, is you put that on social media, you ask people, hey, this woman's missing. We're concerned about her safety. You don't put everything out there. And why? Because it's still an open investigation. You say we're concerned about her safety. If you see her, please let her. Strange. Why would a door stay open on an elevator? It's not like there's a couple buttons on the fucking elevator that can hold the door open. Like hold door. There's one that closes it faster. Guess what that's called? Closed door. You don't have to be a detective or even an elevator technician to know that you can hit buttons to keep the door open. You can also just swing your hand out in front of it and little, infrared laser thing will be like, oh, there's an obstacle. Let's keep the door open. Way to go, internet sleuths.
It's like she's wondering, is someone keeping the elevator here?
Is she's wondering, is somebody keeping the elevator here? That would mean somebody would have to be on the outside of that elevator floor, hitting whatever up or down button to then make the door remain open. So when nobody's out there coming in or right next to the door, so I'm already leaving that out.
What if someone purposely stalled that elevator to keep her from leaving?
Okay, we could say what if, but we've got to know the how, right? What if somebody kept the door open? Okay, cool. How do they keep the door open? The button on the inside of the elevator and the button on the outside of the elevator. Is there anybody on the outside? I'm sure that there's cameras in the hallways. Doesn't look like she's talking to anybody. Looks like she's looking around. That's her fucking shoe. People, these are the American citizens that we have to assist that also call 911 when they're upset that I can't even make up any stupid things, that their dog shit on the floor. That's actually a thing. Actually, somebody called 911 because their girlfriends or their nephew's dog shit on their floor and they were upset that they didn't clean it up. Let's rewind that and look at it real quickly. Right? She's there.
At one point,
she's chilling out. She's like, beep, boop, beep. I'm in the corner of the elevator. And she steps out. Look at her place her foot down. And she rotates. There would literally have to be someone standing inside of her like a demon or some sort of glitch in the Matrix or video game for it to be a foot. And yet you've got dopes out here that are screaming, do you see? Do you see the foot of another person? In literally 5 seconds, I looked at that in real time and I said, That's her foot. Even if she like turned a funny way to make it happen, the person standing there, if there was another person, would have to be standing inside of her body. These are the people that we have to deal with. Heads up, this is only the film that they released purposefully, probably because it shows a really good, hey, this is what she's wearing, this is what she looks like, last seen type of visual for people that are gonna be out there looking for her. They're not gonna give you all of the video that they've recovered. God, I'm already the shoe thing. I wrote it down in my notes as the shoe thing. These internet sleuths are like, that little black bump could be somebody's shoe. It could be a turd that fell out of her dress, and then as she walks away, it's stuck to the bottom of her foot, and she carries it away. That's more plausible than two people coexisting in the same space at one time. Oh, I can't wait for more of their fantastic viewpoints and explanations to what could possibly. I know why I hit on that. So if she's posting, oh my gosh, these guys, they keep following me, they do this. This would be a thing where I would call up her parents and her family members up at home and be like, does she have any sort of mental illness? Does she see people? Does she tell you really strange stories that don't seem to make any sense? Or they wander off to something? Like you'll ask a direct question about her story and it'll be like, well, what time was it? You know, like, oh, when did this happen? You're like, well, I think my hair was shorter when it happened. You're like, it's not a time or a date. What does your length of hair have to do with the time? You know, so these are things that you would ask, like that thing where we're like, oh my God, I keep getting out of my man. It's also probably a nothing statement. You know, people trying to get attention on the internet. Not like nobody's done that before. Why we're here right now for sleuths, fucking up investigations because they want their time on the internet. Anyway.
It seemed like everybody took interest in the Elisa Lam case. It could actually make our job a little bit harder because a rumor could easily become a false lead.
Correct. A rumor could easily become a false lead because people will call up with fucking nothing. Literally somebody will go, huh, somebody's missing on the television. Have you checked Burger King? You should check the Burger Kings. When I was little, I would run away from home and go to the Burger Kings. Thank you. I'm glad I could help. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. People will just out of nowhere. Oh, did somebody run away? You should check the Burger Kings. I would run away to Burger Kings. They're not fucking you. What? Where did that come from? So yes, the detective is absolutely right. And guess what happens? All the internet sleuths start trying to help.
Because
oh, that's huge. You're not, John Q. Public, everybody in the public, you're not ever going to get all of the information from an investigation while that investigation is ongoing, because people don't know how to help in a way that won't damage the case should it be like a homicide or criminal investigation when it goes to court. So let's say that, let's use Casey Anthony, right? The baby killer. Let's say that the police put out the fact that they found her baby like dead and how and all the information and like how she went out partying before there was like a jury selection. It would be almost impossible to find a jury. The prosecutor would be so screwed to trying to find a jury that's impartial to thinking that she killed this kid or had some sort of criminal negligence liability for leaving it, you know, leaving the kid, oh, it was missing for 3 days and I went to go party, kind of thing. And then when it comes to this, like, we're looking for a foot. Did you see the foot? You're tracking the foot? There's no foot. We've got additional video. It's not a foot. But I saw it. Sir, you're calling me and I'm telling you there is no additional information. We have more information. Have video from the hallway. There is nobody there. Yeah, but I saw the foot. Are you fucking arguing with me over me giving you more information, you dipshit? Yes. He is jamming the camera. And, well, it looks like somebody edited the footage. Why wouldn't they want us to know what time it was in the thing? Because if this is a homicide, let's assume that this is a homicide, right? It could potentially turn into one. What you don't want to do is you don't want to give out information that can damage your case. How can putting out a time and a place damage the case? Let's work this as if it was a homicide, a confirmed homicide, right? Not a missing persons like the investigation is going into now. You want to treat it like it could eventually go into a homicide, and that's why they're being careful. But let's say that it is a homicide. This is why you don't want the date and time and location put out, because the killer would then know that you have the date, time, and location of her last whereabouts, potentially where he was. Then guess what happens to your killer? Whoop! Goes on the run. Knows that the police are aware of the date, time, and location of where she was killed, most likely, or potentially because, you know, you're still looking for her body. A better example would be, I'm not going to put out that John Smith died at 123 Sesame Street Lane on Christmas in 2022. I'm not going to put that out there because the people that were there at that location during that time period are going to be tipped off that I'm going to be looking into them, whether they're witnesses, the suspects, or just random people that just don't want to be questioned by the police. We do that on purpose. And these idiots are thinking that alien jamming signals are taking the date time out of the freaking elevator. You can't make a call on a cell phone in an elevator, and these people are like, they're jamming the date and time on the recording. Idiots. Be slowed down a little bit so you can get more detail, so that when these are released out to the public, they can get a better idea of who she is by what she's wearing, what she looks like. And obviously for the short period that you see her face, you can go, oh, sweet, that's what she looks like. Awesome, good, this is great. Yes, police departments will edit footage of missing people or homicides to assist in their investigation and then send it out to the public. If you've got a shooting and there's like a guy in a black hoodie that runs around and pops 3 people in the head and then stands over them and shoots them in the face, do you think they're not gonna blur out everything other than the guy in the black hoodie? Yeah, dude, because those other parts are probably a little sensitive and key to the case. Probably also shows the victims, which you don't want their family seeing it that way. And there's just so much information that you have to withhold so that your suspects and then the rest of the investigation don't get blown up. That's why you would edit video. But also slowing it down so that people can get a better view of it is good too. They're not just gonna give you 40 minutes of elevator time recording. Guy, why would they slow down the video? It's almost like they want us to look at more of it in depth.
It was definitely tampered with. I think cut in places.
Listen, sweetheart, there's a difference between tampered and edited, right? Tampered means that there's some sort of cover up going on and that the original footage was changed to prevent information from going to the police or out, right? This was intentionally edited by the police department to show you what we want you to see to help identify this person. Once again, 30 minutes of an empty elevator in between her jumping in and out of it. You want that? Nobody's gonna look at that. That's gonna prevent people from getting eyes on it because it's 30 minutes of elevator in between her jumping in and out of it. It was tampered with. It was intentionally edited for disbursement to the public. Duh.
And even though
episode ends with the recovery. Whoa, say it ain't so. Boy, did I call that one.
The mystery of the elevator not working properly is solved.
Oh, the mystery of the elevator is solved. Is it solved now? Is it fucking solved? And just as a heads up, you know that the detectives went into this elevator and like looked at that and saw that and they were like, okay, she hit all these buttons and she hit the door open button, so that's why it's open. Now it's really kind of making it seem like, all right, I would lean towards mental illness because if she hit the door open, it's staying open and she's like going out there looking around all crazy. You're like, all right, this woman seems to be in like a panicked state, you know, not really thinking clearly, could still be possibly drug induced. And by drugs, either legal or illegal. Like, I don't know how many weeks it took these people to like go and visit the hotel and have some sort of magic school bus field trip to the Cecil Hotel where this woman died to go touch the buttons that she touched. Freaking weird. But obviously the detectives would have known, straight line down the middle and this lines up with the video. Okay, she hit the door open. But that's not what this video was for. This edited video of her in the freaking elevator was meant for a missing persons case so that people could look at her, identify her better, try to find her. Even if somebody walked across the open door of the elevator when she was in there, I would fear for that person's life and safety with how ravenous these idiots were trying to hunt down any reason as to why somebody might be holding the door open for. That poor guy would have been doxxed and like immediately said as the killer, and why don't you remember anything? Why don't you remember anything? Because you fucking walked by a strange woman in an elevator once. What are you gonna pick up from that? God, there's just, these people don't think forward at all. Small-mindedness, I didn't feel it. This selfishness just permeates throughout everything. And you'll see why I'm so irritated by this in about now.
If you open the door, an alarm starts going off at the front desk, the lobby.
Oh, what do you know? It goes off in the lobby. It doesn't just sound off the alarm for the entire fucking building because of, weirdos that want to go smoke a blunt on a skyscraper, want to just go out there and enjoy the day and get high. Now, there's a light that lights up behind the desk. And guess what? You want to know something here, internet sleuths? Come here, let me whisper a secret in your ear. Good detectives would go there and say, hey, there's an alarm on the door. Let me ask you, does the alarm still work? And they would go, yes, it does. It has to keep up with code. You'd be like, sweet, I'm gonna send Jeremy down there to verify. Hey, manager, go down with Jeremy. Jeremy, go down with manager. Get on your radio. Let me know when you're down there. Hey, we're there, boss. Jeremy, stop saying shh. You don't have to say shh on the radio. Roger that. Shh. Fuck you, Jeremy. I'm gonna open the door. Let me know if the alarm goes off. Roger that. Shh. Opens the door. Beep. He doesn't hear it on the top floor, the detective up there, because he's like, oh, the alarm's not on up here. Interesting. But then Jeremy, or whoever his name I said down there, on the first floor at the frickin' front desk is like, beep. Oh, yes. Hey, the alarm's going off down here at the front desk. So the alarm does still work. Oh, awesome. Thank you. You know what you can't do as an internet sleuth? Go up to a fucking front desk and go, hey, listen, I need you to go up to the roof and open up the emergency door, and I'm gonna stay down here to see if the alarm goes off. Also, how do all of the alarms work in your building, by the way? That's not suspicious. You wanna talk about suspicious? How do all the alarms work in your building? And do they? Okay. So I can actually agree with people here, right? Listen, a blind squirrel can find a nut every once in a while, right? Hey, why would you jump inside that? That's really weird. Either you were forced in it or you were not in the right mindset. So now, they're automatically going to like, she might have been high on a party drug. Yeah, man, because people that are high on party drugs love climbing up ladders and going in elevators to the top floor to then jump in a fucking thing of water. I don't know a lot of high people that are doing that. My bet's towards some sort of psychosis. However, a moment of common sense comes in and sweeps over King Dumbass.
I don't abuse any drugs. I don't drink alcohol.
Oh, well, wait, what is that? Dude, and immediately right after that, what does she say in her fucking thing? I don't do drugs, I don't abuse alcohol. Obviously, we can figure that out with a toxicology report. I don't know how long it takes in LA to get a toxicology report. However, at least, you've got 19 days that the body's been decomposing. You can still, get trace amounts of whatever you're looking for, depending on what it is. Probably takes another week or two. I mean, and if you try to expedite it, because it's a big, hey, listen, we need this now because this is one of the things on top of, we need more information as soon as we can get it to move forward. I'm sure they could expedite it. But that toxicology is going to be extremely important. Always. It's always important because either they're on something or they're not, and then that can give you another direction. But you see how it's based on facts here and not just, I saw something on the television and I think that maybe she was like, having highs and lows. Oh, like she's got a bipolar disorder? She was having highs and lows. Almost as if those two bipoles, I think I just had a dumbgasm. I think I just had so much dumb in my head that I came.
My instinct was that she was murdered.
So their instinct into a case of which their only limited knowledge is what came out across the news, them visiting the hotel where she died at, and the video that was given to the public and edited by the department. Other than that, like, what else have you got? Once again, I'm not saying that people shouldn't do their own due diligence. If you're worried about something and you want to look into it, look into it. And some internet sleuths help people out. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be smart when you do it. I think she was killed. Why do you think that? Based on fucking what? Do you have any notes on this investigation? This is also like an important kind of point that I want to talk to when it comes to criminal investigations, right? And why it's so frustrating when people like don't get the answers that they want, or they insist upon things. It's, oh, I'm right. I insist upon the thing that I think. We've got umpteen things that we can send to umpteen different agencies, processing labs, etc. Just on one sexual assault case, like I've got Homeland Security, I've got our cyber security people that are going through the phones. I'm writing warrants. The assistant district attorney's writing warrants, subpoenas, and potentially indictment warrants, indictments. I got photo and evidence coming over there to take stuff. I've got the crime scene analysis center that's taking like blood droplets and testing drugs and seeing if there's any semen or anything like that. Let's say parole is involved because I think that the suspect's on parole or probation. I've got that. That's one. You as an internet sleuth don't have all of those things, which doesn't mean that you can't assist us in investigations, because that's why we ask the public to help us. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you know everything about an investigation.
You need to do this in the right way.
Oh, love that guy. Absolutely love that guy. He's right. The coroner is like the last conversation that this person has with the person. They're dead, but they still have a lot to say. Their body has tons of evidence on it, and the coroner needs to take time and have that conversation. And what does he say? Outside influence. Idiots trying to hurry up the whole thing.
No autopsy released to the public?
We need someone to call and obtain the public record of the autopsy and tox results to find out more.
Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you to demand that shit? Her parents get that. Let's say, hypothetically here, right, that there is a family member of yours that is the victim of sexual assault, and it gets publicized, and people want the coroner's report. Right? And let's say that we don't know it's a sexual assault yet until the coroner's report comes out and says, oh, hey, listen, we found male semen. Obviously, it's not like you're going to get male semen or female semen. Found a male specimen inside of your family member. We believe this is sexual assault and it's related to the homicide. Do you think that you want that put out there? Like right away? Hey, we found a bunch of cum in this dead woman. Like, no. Plus, guess what, dipshits? If you put out information saying we're looking for this missing person, we found them, it's just a missing person. The person that might have killed them, done the rape, or so acting as if that, your family member was assaulted, they would have no idea that you're looking for them. They're like, oh, sweet, they found the body, but there's no thing. Now what happens if you put out the coroner's report? Oh, by the way, we found there were signs of sexual assault, and also there's a male sample that we got out of it. Now that guy's gonna be like, oh shit, male sample, I know side of her before I killed her. Oh no, what do I do? And now he's on the run. Once again, making the job harder. But the internet sleuths need to fucking rub one out to being nosy and knowing what's going on in an investigation. What are they hiding? We're keeping people safe, and we're trying to capture this dude in the easiest way possible.
You wonder, is this a crazy coincidence? Coincidence is something that happens once or maybe twice, but when you get 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times, that can't be a coincidence. It's got to be synchronicity.
Okay, synchronicity. You know what higher forces at play mean? It means that people are going to think that, what do you call it? That there's a conspiracy in order to kill a small Asian woman from immigrant parents from Canada that has bipolar disorder and is depressed. Like, this is why nobody takes people seriously. Well, this is why law enforcement doesn't take these internet sleuths seriously. Oh my God, did you watch that movie? I did. It's similar to this one murder. Out of the millions across the globe every year? Yes. Well, therefore it must be a conspiracy. You ever hear the saying, you put enough monkeys on a typewriter, eventually they're gonna write Shakespeare? Like, reality is so much more strange than fiction in a lot of, God, in so many incidents that I've been involved with just in my small city. It's like the same people that are like, Biggie said he called 9/11 because he said blow up like the World Trades. Or if you know history at all, Osama bin Laden blew up the World Trade Center basement. It's like a parking garage and severely damaged some of the foundation, and they were able to fix it before Biggie came up with that song. So Biggie was singing about the prior attack on the World Trade, and then later on after he died, 9/11 happened. People were like, he knew the future, and just spasming out. Oh, but what, is there more? Is there more things that have nothing to do with this actual investigation that people go ooh and ah for? Yes, because the internet wouldn't be the internet unless they were idiots trying to put two things that don't fucking matter together as if they did. You see how absolutely mind-numbing this could be for a detective? Is to have some guy that's just like, the Illuminati could be real. The Illuminati wants a small Asian woman from Canada dead because there's tuberculosis in the building? What? Jeez, what did this guy think about COVID?
That you give someone to detect tuberculosis is called a Lam-Eliza test. It is Elisa Lam, just with the 2 words reversed.
Well, and a hyphen. and a hyphen. We're going to ignore all the blatant evidence there, but you're like, but the words were reversed. And well, there was also an added hyphen in there. So somebody had tuberculosis in the same building and that she was in. And because the technology for trying to track tuberculosis is a acronym, the last three are linked immunosorbent assay, ELISA. That means that she's got something to do with it. My last name is High. If I go somewhere and weed is there, does that somehow correlate me with big marijuana? Is this how we're correlating things together? That one dude talking about synchronicity is a journalist, and I pray to God he wasn't taking the synchronicity seriously. He's just like, hey, that's just really weird. Cool. But there's Illuminati man being like, backwards name, sickness near her. They're planning it out. Let me tell you something, people. If it's a real conspiracy, they're not putting little breadcrumbs for people to find it so they know that they're there. They're supposed to remain hidden. So whenever some idiot comes up to me and is just like, see the breadcrumbs? It's so they want you to know. No, they don't. No, they want to be in the shadows, you idiot.
It just kind of itches in my brain a little bit and makes me wonder if there's any connection.
That's amazing because I didn't know that he had a brain that could possibly itch with all this mind-numbingly stupid stuff spewing out of his face. Oh, Google Maps is now in on it. We got Google Maps planning out the eradication of the homeless population in LA via tuberculosis from a Canadian girl. And the bookstore that she went to buy books from before disappearing is in on it. Why would the bookstore want tuberculosis and this nice Asian woman dead? Oh, I forgot. I'm talking to idiots on the internet.
There's so many different things that are going on with synchronicities in this story.
There's so many things going on. It has to be true.
How close are police to finding out what happened to Elisa Lam?
Well, Victor, the short answer is they're not close at all.
So, yeah, that nice little jab from the news is why, cops don't like the news, right? It's not like, why don't we know anything from the cops? Well, actually, they haven't learned anything new. No, dude, we're just not sharing it because it's a part of an ongoing investigation, and you can politely fuck off because they've already learned their lesson not to share shit with the news. Not that sharing information with the news is a bad thing, but they learned their lesson because the last time they shared something with the news, that video got picked apart. They got a whole bunch of crazies calling them. And now tuberculosis bookstore graveyard, British Columbia is freaking out and calling them up every day. So you know what? They're good. They don't want anybody else's help at the moment until they can get more information and iron things out. And at the very last minute, if they need that assistance, I'm sure they'll ask again. And I'm sure they'll regret it by the way that you're reading the news. God, the news is such a help and such a pain in the ass. Heaven help me if I ever became a journalist. Like the Illuminati? You fucking goof. God. These people look at me like I'm stupid when I go to a call and I say, sorry, but there's not enough information here to show that a crime committed. I think this is a civil matter. Or maybe you don't go in the Walmart and scream at people. They can scream at you back. That's not harassment if they scream at you back. I had a woman file harassment complaint because a man spit at her car when she was driving down the road because she came too close to the curb. And she's like, I want him arrested for harassment. We're like, that's not how this works. Absolutely not. That's this guy. That's this guy. You know what? Buckets of web sleuths. You are the buckets of web sleuths are the reasons why there's that photo of the child and it says don't have the child drown in the small bucket of water. That is the web sleuth. The web sleuths are so dumb that they, as children, will drown themselves in their own bucket of sleuth.
Tube looking into the employees, guests, anybody who was connected to the Cecil Hotel.
Here's an important note I believe I touched on earlier of why we don't give out all the information, especially if it's suspect information, right? Because the mob will go after somebody without any sort of understanding or rationale as to why they're doing it, other than that they feel some certain way. And this is a great example. People are just trying to find somebody to blame. They're not looking for evidence. They're trying to find somebody to blame, which is dangerous, wrong, and not a part of our legal system. Follow the evidence. And then that leads you to conclusions. You don't just start going, I think it's the hotel people. I'm going to look at all the hotel people. And then you get all their information. And then you get crazies that start chasing him on the sidewalk with the camera. What do you know about the Cecil? And in the worst cases, which you're about to find out about, they randomly pick on an innocent person that has nothing to do with the investigation at all, other than that these crazy internet sleuth loons with no common sense or decency will go, I think it's him, and then brazenly attack that person with zero repercussions. No apologies, because I thought I was doing the right thing. Bro, a lot of people were tricked into doing the right thing. Led to a lot of people dying. Maybe you just sit on your fucking couch and stop bothering the nice folks at the Cecil.
Do you obsessed with violence and death?
Oh, really? And do you skate on ice? Is that a thing? Is water wet? Is the Pope Catholic? Do bears shit in the woods and smell the menstruation of women? Yes, okay. And that guy really likes dodgeball. He keeps throwing red balls at people. Keep him away from the Christmas tree. He'll grab all the ornaments and throw them. Do you see what that means? You see how the leap in logic there? The fourth episode in the Cecil documentary is called The Hard Truth. And boy, does that ring true. Because you see, what happens in this episode is the internet sleuths don't learn the error of their ways, but do make a horrific error. One I'm sure that they absolutely brushed off. And of course, we find out exactly, because it's the end of the series, its grand finale of how did Elisa Lam die? And in that how, we're given a lot of information on this investigation that the public didn't have right away. But of course, a new conspiracy jumps in there, and we'll touch on that as well.
This guy Morbid must have killed Elisa Lam.
He was staying at the hotel.
She was a sitting duck.
Let's talk about Morbid. Pablo. The internet sleuth community decided to hone in on him because he's a death metal artist. Yes, guy that likes to scream and talk about death and bad things that happen in the world. And because he spent a couple of nights at the Cecil, they decide that he's to blame and he should obviously be the main target because death metal music brings the devil, ma. What is this, 1956? Don't listen to that rock and roll, Jimmy. It's gonna turn your sister into a slut. Don't look at Elvis shake his hips. You'll be a whore just like your mother. That's right. The logical conclusion to a group of internet sleuths who think that they're helping solve a potential murder case is that out of the hundreds and hundreds of individuals inside of the Cecil Motel, they decided that a guy who wears makeup and sings about death and stayed there one day must definitely be the guy that killed Elisa Lam. And of course, it's the police's fault for not looking into this guy because, you know, everybody knows that music equals murder. All the connections between them. They stayed at the same hotel one time. I don't even know if they stayed at the same hotel during the same time. That's the only connection you got? Your connection is that he's scary and he stayed somewhere. Even scary isn't even a piece of evidence. My God, I think these people think scary is a piece of evidence.
This is interesting.
Medications are low. See, I touched on this earlier. Obviously, if you take too much of a medication, bad things can happen, including overdose. If you start immediately cold turkey going off of some medications, bad things can happen, especially antidepressants. Oftentimes, people who go off antidepressants too quickly and suddenly will spiral into a horrible depressive state, and that can lead to suicide. Now let's talk about antipsychotics. The amount of times that people who are supposed to be on mental medication and antipsychotic and say, you know what, I'm feeling a lot better. I think I'm gonna stop taking it because I'm feeling better. No, it's that you're taking it. You're taking it is making you feel better. The second you stop, you're gonna stop feeling better. You're gonna go into some sort of psychosis or mania or deep depression, and then you're gonna do something crazy. So here we have our toxicologist at the coroner's office saying, hey, the medications that she was supposed to be on are lower than what they're supposed to be in her body, which tells us she went off the meds, literally and figuratively. Looking more like this could be an accidental death.
If she had been killed or rendered unconscious at another location, even though she was light, to carry a body up a steep ladder without damaging the body, it's not possible.
So boom, let's hit on that fantastic moment, which is probably known from earlier on in the investigation and obviously after the information that was put out originally to the public with the video. We hit on it earlier, we're talking about it now. Cutting open that tank in order to make sure that the body that they recovered doesn't have any additional marks or bruises because if it's moved from one place to another, there are always significant pieces of physical evidence on a dead body that can show you if that person was moved and if an injury was posthumously or if it was when they were alive. Just say, replay that over like at least 3 times.
Why would she get naked?
Psychosis, you stupid man-child. Let's just go with an easy one, like without even thinking of anything and bringing any of the evidence into it. She could have been high as a kite and wanted to go skinny dipping. Boop, beep, bop, bam. Done. There's one reason right off the top of my head. How did you not think of that? Instead, you went right to Illuminati.
Naked.
Idiot. If it wasn't, why would you take your clothes off? You know, there's people that they find dead in tubs filled with water. Because I've dealt with sexual assaults, I can't even begin to think of like somebody that's like, hey, I'm gonna do this to you. Now I'm gonna take your clothes off and bury you with your clothes in this water thing so everything can be found together. It's just a thing that doesn't happen. Also, another reason why she could have got naked is PCP. God, man, you get on PCP and their bodies overheat. They can't feel pain and stuff. You get a guy on PCP, they're like, one of the telltale signs of PCP is they run around and take their clothes off.
Help me, Jesus! Tom Cruise using witchcraft on me to get the fire off me!
I had a woman do that on crack too. Very large woman. Ended up gyrating butt naked on one of our cop cars, humping the corner of the car, trying to get off on it. It took 4 of us to handcuff her and put her in the back of the car. Thank God I did not have to take her downtown. That was definitely a hospital stay. All right, carrying on. Why, Brian? Why, Brian, do you have a hard time believing that? I'm sorry. I've been looking. Oh God, I've been sitting here trying to break this down for hours, and I just can't handle the dumb thoughts anymore. I can't handle them anymore. I'm sure you're an upstanding citizen. If you're a parent, you're probably great, but you could also shut up with your dumb thoughts. Based on nothing that I've seen, I disagree. Thank you, Brian.
I've never read anything that sounds like those that are in a bipolar state would go do something like this.
Oh, you've never read anything? You've never read anything that these people in a bipolar state would go do something like this. You must have read a whole bunch about bipolar disorder, huh? Oh, nothing? Oh, you've read nothing about the disorder? Thank you. Thank you, John Stamos hair and Santa Claus beard, man who doesn't know how hair dye works.
I don't think that her mental state was her cause of death.
Says random ditzy woman in her bedroom. I just don't think that like her mental state was like, that's what caused it. Are you sure? Because mental state is what some people call a big deal. I feel like she's the girl that's like, Sarah like was really upset and she was on her period and that's why she shot up the school. So I think we can all forgive her. God, the amount of dumb people on the internet never ceases to amaze me.
Tovar appears to be ambivalent about his conclusion that Lam's death was accidental.
You're reading a newspaper article stating that he was ambivalent about the end results of an autopsy report, and he's the coroner. Yeah, man. If it just is what it is, what's he gonna do? Get all excited or sad and cry? His job is to touch dead bodies all the time. I'm surprised he's not a psycho.
There's a section on the autopsy report where it is the manner of death.
All right, let's talk about this, the manner of death. They're trying to cover it up. Why would they do that? There's 2 separate dates. And right away, I'm telling you right away, from the moment that he even said that with his dumb mouth and I saw it on the screen, I looked at it and said, no, those are both the same day. That 8 just looks a little different than the other 8. The pen mark continues. And they're like, why did he like initial it and he scribbled it out? They're trying to hide something. Errors happen on paperwork. You get tired. You're just incorrect about things. And what you do is, and I do this all the time on statements, is if there's an error and a person giving me a statement says, actually, that's wrong, I want to change that. I'll X it out and then I'll initial and I'll have them initial to show that we both see the change, we both agree that the change is happening, and we both sign off that the change is approved by the 2 of us. So that way there's no issues. That's not a cover up. That's literally people in agreement saying, oh, we made a visual mistake. Let's correct it and be clear and in the open. And then let's click the actual box it's supposed to be in. But wait, humans aren't perfect. Illuminati, man, is upset about that. The amount of scribbles that are on my statements because I misspell a word and then I read it and then the person wants to change it and we both like make our, signatures on it and our initial it to make sure that it's, hey, this is the correction. All the time. In fact, I love it when it happens on a statement because it's proof that the person that wrote the statement or that I wrote the statement for and that they're agreeing to sign has actually read it. Because you don't want to go up there on defense and be like, well, how do you know that she read it? Well, I read it out loud to her. Yeah, but how do you know that she understood it? Well, I read it out loud to her. Well, you could have changed things. Did you let her read it? Oh, no, I just read it out loud. Ah, there you go. Yeah, throw it out. He didn't even let her read it. There could have been lies in there. She doesn't remember all this shit. Who would? Statements can be very long. No, I have them read it. If there's an issue, I have them sign it, and I have them initial where the correction takes place. And now guess what? Now I have proof that not only do they agree with the statement because they signed the bottom, but they saw an issue, they corrected that issue, and then we both signed off on that correction together. Idiots. We haven't even gotten to like them bullying this poor man, the poor metal rap. So this is another reason why we don't put out information to the public, because emotional people without brains will start going around and harassing the people that may or may not even be involved. Listen, if you're a subject in an investigation, not a suspect, a subject, just somebody listed in an investigation, things can change. You could be a victim. You could change into a suspect. You could just be a nobody that we was there on scene. We took your information, and then later on called you and you were like, actually, I was in a car getting oral sex from a hooker, so I don't remember anybody getting shot behind me. I was focusing on the hooker's Hummer that I was getting. Like, it's not a big issue, but you'll get people that'll go, they're a subject, they're a part of it. They're a part of the investigation. Shame them. Shame. Which is what happens here. It is the perfect storm of exactly why we don't want to share too much information with the public, because dumb people thinking they're doing the right thing and self-stroking themselves because they think they're doing the right thing. I need to stand up for this woman. Start going around and harassing people for no reason other than the fact for they're just dumb. They're brain dead and they want to be involved in something because their lives are too boring and lame. I sent him a message that he was guilty. That'll really do it. Really? You sent him a comment on Facebook and said that he did a murder? You think that did anything?
It was 1 year prior to when Elisa Lam checked in.
He didn't even stay in the hotel the same year that Elisa Lam was in the hotel. So everybody that was like, he stayed in the hotel and he's a death metal guy, harassed a man for no reason. Oh, but I'm internet sleuthing. I'm helping. Ronnie from The Simpsons. I'm helping. That dead eye stare, we're like, you don't have all the facts. And like it pauses and he's like staring at the camera, is like, you fucking idiots, is right behind his eyes. I can read it. I can feel it. He's just like, you don't have all the facts. Shut up. And I know that this is a documentary, so they want to keep it to the very end and they save a bunch of things. But right away, even the original time when I saw this, I was like, it's going to be mental illness. And what do you know? Later on, mom and dad come down. They say, their farewells to their daughter. They come down for a press conference regarding their daughter, saying, hey, we found, what we believe to be the truth about what happened with your daughter, possibly even collecting the remains of their daughter to then bring her back home. So then she can be buried. And what do you know? The family comes out and says, hey, when the detectives started talking to us, we told her that, hey, she's got some mental issues, that a couple of times she's gone manic and said some crazy things at home and kind of run off and did some weird things. And then we were able to get her back on her medication and even her out, which is important. But of course, none of that's going to be shared with the public. And even if that was shared, everybody's just going to see her as a victim of like an assault or a sexual assault because she's in this mental state. Or Illuminati man's going to say that she was drugged.
Say the 18th.
Oh, what do you know? The days happen to be the same. The initials, trying to show and be completely transparent by saying, hey, we made a mistake. We're both signing this because this is an error. Now we go with the correct thing. Oh, but it's a conspiracy. One of my favorite things that we fall back on here is the video. Let's learn about the video. See, the department has the footage. They've got all of it. They probably got more of it considering all the cameras that were portrayed in the video there of like hallways and entrances, etc. So they altered it so you could see her better. Oh no. And they altered the dates. Why? Because they don't want those dates out there, because they don't want people that don't have that information to all of a sudden make up an alibi if it is a murder. Oh, I was at this other place on this other day. Oh, okay, great. Well, if we cover up that date, hey, where were you around this time? What did you do around this time? Oh, so you were in the Cecil at this date and this time? Oh, that's great. Because they didn't know that it was the time that she was last seen and potentially murdered. You get it.
So I did go to the hearing myself just to see if I could get more information.
Why is he going? This is where the finale isn't so much that we discover that she's dead, is that we discover that this guy is such a strange sycophant for this woman. that he's unhealthily obsessed with her.
In trying to make sense of this,
This guy is such a freak that he hires somebody to go to her grave, record it, and put their hand on it so that he can get closure. Lock your doors if you live in this dude's neighborhood. Listen, I'm not saying harass that guy. I don't want you to go do the morbid, what they did to that poor guy that was just singing songs and then face makeup on like Kiss. No, don't do that. Don't talk to him. But my God, my spidey senses are going off about that weirdo. Too deep into what? Too deep into your own bullshit? You tried to connect tuberculosis poisoning from the government to a woman that was visiting from Canada and that somehow a bookshop was involved because things. So there you have it. That's just one investigation that they made a documentary on that had people losing their absolute minds. Imagine the day-to-day occurrences for a normal detective just trying to figure things out on a home burglary. Maybe now you can kind of see why law enforcement departments, whether it's federal, state, or local, are a little hesitant to give out all the information right away to people and the news because, hey, this whole group of crazies decided to harass a guy randomly on the internet because he wore makeup and sung and visited a hotel not in the same year that this woman disappeared in, and that the Illuminati's involved, and that a bookstore's involved. All of these crazy things backed up with zero understanding knowledge of what's going on in the actual missing persons case. Just a fraction of it, and they go off the freaking rails. I hope I gave you some perspective on the frustrations of some of these people on the internet gabbing away at how smart they think they are and how much they know about law enforcement and investigations from just watching the first 48, which is still a fantastic show. Best way to support the channel is to get yourself a shirt. I've got Angry Cops merch. This shirt has 0 on it for the amount of common sense that those people had. 0, 0, 0, 0. Cheapest way to support the channel is leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about this. Did you like the breakdown? This is a longer video, I know, but I've been so irritated over it for the past several years. It's been eating away at me like a cancer. If there's another documentary breakdown you'd like me to go through, feel free. I'm not gonna do the to make a freaking murderer. What a load of shit that whole thing was. I was watching that and it just entire time I wanted to stab my eyes out. Not just with the fact that people were like, well, I think that guy's innocent, but also for the fact that the detectives were talking to an obviously mentally incapable kid. Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, feel free to give me ideas if you like it. And as always, you can find my content uncensored with a lot more additional content on Pepperbox. It's not just me. You got Donut Operator, you got Brandon Herrera, the Fat Electrician, so many more. See you next time, weirdos. As a YouTuber, I was looking into content. And then, I started fucking up an investigation all by myself.
I realized that the way to honor her is to accept the truth.
If I could ever say that guy's a serial killer, I don't think I'd say him. But if you asked me who defiles and masturbates on dead corpses, I would say this person.